Tadej Pogacar throws a haymaker. Could Jonas Vingegaard respond? Howard Remco and Roglic look on their steep finish to around Bologna, starting in Cesenatico. This is the San Luca climb, 2Ks, 10%, very steep in sections, and there's some medium mountains, not even more punchy hills beforehand. Overall, an easier stage than yesterday, but a harder finish, and the climb is closer to the finish, meaning we would likely see GC action. Remco looking relaxed at the start. How would DSM play it? Could they keep the yellow jersey? That was surely their goal for the stage. Vingegaard also looking relaxed. But Israel Premier Tech, they wanted to be in the break. They eventually got in with Oul, but it was a strong break, just like yesterday. Pacher, Laurence, Oul, Oliveira, Kevin Vauquelin, who was second in Flèche Wallonne, Abrahamsen, the truck in KOM, and it was blocked up in the peloton. DSM happy. The closest guy on GC was 15 minutes, so they could basically let this really strong break of 11 go, peg it at 8 minutes, hope that Bardet could stay in yellow because UAE might not try anything, and they weren't going to control for the stage, UAE, somewhat surprisingly, given there were extra bonus seconds actually available on top of San Luca. So really good from DSM. Maybe it would work out, and the breakaway was smart too. They got 8 minutes. They didn't try and get more than that. They rode together as a group on these climbs. The better climbers didn't try and get rid of the rouleurs like Turnison or Oliveira, and the peloton actually went much faster than the breakaway on those climbs. You see the gap is down to 6 minutes 30 after a couple of those hills, but then the breakaway regroups, and they just start rolling through and off quickly again, keeping those rouleurs in the group for as long as possible. But the nervousness in the peloton before the intermediate sprint brought it down below 6 minutes. And then a funny crash happens. We see behind the decathlon riders, next to the EF rider, I think it's Jorgensen who goes down. And then behind the other decathlon rider, Van Aert, had his wheel on the wrong side and doesn't realize people are braking and moving to the other side, and he goes down as well. So one of those nothing crashes at the back of the peloton. Laurens de Plus also went down. It seems the hardest, actually. Van Aert with his bibs torn up on the right, says he's okay. Jorgensen needing some running repairs to the right elbow from the medical car. Not what you want before a big test on 2 repetitions of San Luca. UAE and Ineos went to the front and calmed things down, and that really meant the breakaway was going to win. It was below 6 minutes before that kerfuffle, and then it went to 9 minutes again, and it was fully advantage breakaway before Voxnor went to the front. Campenaerts, seeing Van den Broek struggling and having Van Hils wearing the white jersey on loan from Van den Broek, perhaps Lotto sensed an opportunity to put Van Hils into the white jersey. Certainly they weren't really going for the stage because, they didn't pace to keep the breakaway in check at all before then. They were just trying to position Van Hils, which they did a really good job of. First rep of San Luca, breakaway, apart from a dig from Pacher, then Laurence with some French verve. They mainly stay together. Benoot also paces. You see him in front of Jorgensen and Vingegaard. Pogacar to the left of Van Hils, not his teammate Almeida. Remco's there as well as Carlos Rodriguez and Carapaz. But Pogacar scares everybody. He moves to the front, gets out of the saddle. Is he going on first San Luca? Where's he going? He's going to get a drink. Relax, everybody. He's just getting some sustenance. No need to be on his wheel glued there. Jorgensen gets to the front, shuts things down. There's like a false summit, 1K 5% climb here where everyone really knocks it off, and the breakaway gets another 30 seconds back, actually, because they start working in the valley pretty well together until the rouleurs decide to fuga de la fuga. Oliveira, Turnus and Oul, they know they can't go to the finish with the likes of Rodriguez or Vauquelin, but here's the problem for everybody. Arkea have got 2. Rodriguez just shut down the Turnison move with Oul and Laurence. Laurence is isolated, one of the best riders in the group. Vauquelin comes back in the wheels behind without accelerating, and Pacher, who's isolated, he had to close that gap himself. Vauquelin uses the momentum, bang, jumps across to Nelson Oliveira. Abrahamsen did the same thing, and that's the beauty of numbers. Pacher and Laurence didn't have that. Vauquelin timed it perfectly. Arkea tactically perfect with 2 in the breakaway, and those guys are gone. Abrahamsen Oliveira pull full, and then Vocal, as I said, he's not an average puncher. He is a big prospect, 23-year-old French rider in Arkea, good TT as well. He drops Oliveira and Abrahamsen, and he's going clear. And the peloton only is 4 minutes behind as they enter the last San Luca. Benoit pacing, and that's the thing, Visma, this weekend they won the positioning fight, so Yates has to do a big effort to even move up. Almeida's deep in the group. Roglic entered in, I think, quite deep position. Thomas dropped. But then when Benoit pulls off, Vingegaard flicks Poggy through. Poggy says no. Jorgensen initially goes to the front, but Adam Yates he wants to set a harder tempo. Carapaz tries to take Vingegaard's wheel from Pogacar. You know that's never happening. And Vlasov is looking back. Mars is looking good in the wheel. Van Gils moves up as well. But Vocal crosses that KOM point first. Whilst with 1k to go on the climb, Yates is absolutely smashing it. Splits everywhere. He's like the third best, fourth best GC climber in the world at worst, Adam Yates. And look at the carnage. You've got Rodriguez dropped, Roglic dropped actually. He's behind Ciccone and Vlasov with Simon Felipe Yates and Ayuso in his wheel. Guillaume Martin actually doing very well. And it's a very small group of only 7 or 8 riders that can withstand the pacing of Adam Yates. But it levels off. Poggy hadn't jumped until bang, on the flatter section, into the chicane, under the archway, tried to take Vingegaard by surprise, and then it kicks up again, 6-7% on this section, and Pogacar goes all in to the top with a huge attack, and in the space of only about 500 meters, he takes 10-15 seconds on Evenepoel and much, much more on the others. But the big news, Jonas Vingegaard could withstand Pogacar on his terrain. Ayuso actually finished quite well on Simon Yates' wheel, but Remco and Carapaz are somewhere off camera ahead of them. So big gaps for such a 5-minute climb already. Bernal and Rodriguez struggling a bit, but could Vingegaard or would Vingegaard relay? He never usually does with Pogacar, and eventually they're discussing, and Pogacar says, why don't you go to the front? Go to the front then. UAE, they're not going to chase their teammate ahead. Bora pacing, but not really. Vlasov's looking to see if Roglic is in the group. Eventually, Ineos come to the front and start really chasing for Carlos Rodriguez, whilst the 2 strongest riders, it looks like, in the race were chopping off ahead. Evenepoel eventually comes back, but don't forget about Vocal. Big stage win for the Frenchman and Arkea B&B Hotels. Remember his name for future years. But luckily for Remco, even though he didn't get any help from Carapaz, according to himself, Vingegaard refused to relay with Pogacar in the final kilometre, meaning Remco was caught, but big gaps behind. And the first GC, maybe not haymakers landed, but jabs thrown and a few people catching them on the chin in this stage. But Kevin Vocal wins ahead of Jonas Abrahamsen, Quentin Pacher, Christian Rodriguez, Tejada, Oliveira, Laurence Turnison, and Ul Carapaz actually first of the GC riders. But in terms of the yellow jersey, Pogacar goes into it on stage placement ahead of Evenepoel, Vingegaard, and Carapaz all in the same time. Van Gils, Bernal, Pidcock, most of the second-tier GC guys are all on 21 seconds. But I hope you enjoyed the video. We've got our first real sprint stage tomorrow. The sprinters will be happy with that after such a horrible start for them. Philipsen, can he beat Cavendish, Groenewegen? It should be pretty exciting. I'll see you with a recap then. Ciao.